All right, we've got a new series, Ask Us Anything, where we have posed questions to our Mended Light community, and they respond, well, actually we give prompts, and they respond with their questions.
Yes, yes. And so today it is all about feeling happy and managing your moods.
So
Do you feel happy?
At this precise moment, yeah,
Oh, good.
I do.
Way to go.
Yeah, it's good times. The prompt that we put out into the universe on our YouTube community was, when it comes to feeling happy and managing your moods, what is your single greatest challenge? So people share their single greatest challenge with us, and we're going to address how to help them. And we're going to try to get through as many of these as we can in a short amount of time. So these will be shoot from the hip, a bit more rapid fire answers. If you want more of a deep dive for your specific struggle, you can join our membership site where we have monthly live Q&As that are an hour long, and we dive deep, super deep on everyone's questions.
And we have so much fun.
It's so much fun.
And we can engage, interact, and have a bit more of a two-way conversation, which we love, and we hope you do too. So, first question. My biggest challenge is accepting the emotions as they happen. Half the time, I feel crazy for having them in moments that are deemed inappropriate. Feeling like my feelings are completely inappropriate or insignificant.
My response to that is feelings are never inappropriate. Feelings just are. Behaviors can be inappropriate. Words can be inappropriate. Sometimes even thoughts could be inappropriate. But feelings just are. They're just there. And so if people are judging you for what you're feeling, or if you feel judged, recognize that you're having a human response. There's nothing shameful for what you didn't choose that just happens in your brain and in your body.
I realize my feelings are valid.
You decide what to do with it.
Well, I have some thoughts too. So often our judgments are internal. They are immediate and they are internal. And so if you feel that way, it could not even be coming from someone else in that specific, at that specific time and moment. And so I would ask yourself, like, was that your experience growing up, right? Were adults or authority figures in your life, did you feel from their response to your emotions that you were inappropriate or your feelings were inappropriate? And working through those emotions. And just because you had that experience in childhood, we quite often carry our experiences from childhood and our beliefs from childhood into our life now, right?
And we project onto other people. I think we've all had the experience of somebody assuming that we were thinking something about them that we actually were not. And we see other people that way too. So be mindful, is this actually coming from me? Is this coming from my past?
Right. The first step is being aware of what you're feeling and then asking yourself, okay, is this supporting me? Why do I feel this way? What can I replace it with?
Yes, wonderful. Next one.
Greatest challenge with mood management is expressing my emotions through anger. I don't know how to feel sad, so I just turn it into anger.
So somewhere along the way, you learned that being vulnerable isn't safe, that it's not safe to feel sad, right? And so it comes out as anger. We express anger because it feels powerful. It feels like we're not going to take any crap from anybody. We're not going to be pushed around. The issue with anger is, yeah, we protect ourselves in theory, but we also push others away. And then we don't even end up protecting ourselves because we get into a mental state where we're just exhausted and agitated and unhappy. So what I would say is it's crucial to recognize when you're feeling angry, your body signs of anger, your heart's pounding, your muscles are tensed, your jaw's clenched, your breathing accelerates.
I'm always angry.
And then to do something to calm yourself down. And once you're calm, ask yourself what you're really feeling. Is it sadness? Is it embarrassment? Is it frustration? Is it overwhelm? And communicate that vulnerable emotion instead of the anger.
Well, and I love the point that you made. At some point in your life, it wasn't safe.
Yeah.
It wasn't safe for you to be something else, so you turned to anger, right? And it sounds like he's judging himself, or she, this person, they are judging themselves for their anger, right? And so step out of that judgment and step into compassion and say, yeah, for XYZ reason, it wasn't safe for me to feel these emotions, so I turned to anger. What used to keep me safe is now keeping me stuck, right? And that awareness is the first step to becoming unstuck. And that second step is self-compassion of where we're at. And the third is recognizing you have a choice. And so what do I want to do about it now?
Bravo. Next.
My biggest challenge is to confront my problems without, 1, going into overthinking spirals, or 2, running away from them. I just got to take action. And most of the time, I know what that action is, but it is really hard to face it when I'm too afraid and uncomfortable to take that step. So it ends up escalating and damaging my mental health more than necessary.
I'd like to address running from them because that's more my jam, and have you address going into overthinking spirals because that's more your jam.
Oh, we all got jams.
Running from problems has been my bread and butter for my entire life. I am super avoidant of discomfort in any way, shape, or form. And what has helped me is to recognize that when I run from problems, they will get bigger, they won't go away, and when I deal with them, they'll always be even more uncomfortable. And so sometimes what I do like to do is, instead of dealing with them in the moment, is I set aside, okay, this is when I'm going to deal with this. I'm giving myself 30 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, and I'm going to deal with this tomorrow, but I'm going to make myself deal with it tomorrow, and I'm going to think about how I'm going to handle this. Because when we run, at least when I run, it's because I'm overwhelmed and I'm afraid and I don't know how to handle it. So I do get benefit, not from running, but from pausing and preparing. If you're prepared, you won't be afraid, right? And preparing, what am I going to do? And then making myself proceed. Because if I don't proceed, it will get bigger and it will get uglier and it will be harder to deal with.
I love that. Well, and both of them, there are a fear response, right?
Yeah.
And both of them come from typically a place of overwhelm. And so it's a matter of, like you're saying, okay, how am I going to deal with this? And running from it or overthinking it isn't really serving or supporting myself. But at some point in my life, that was my solution, right?
Yeah.
And so what used to serve me is now keeping me stuck, right?
Yeah.
And I think being aware of like, okay, this is how I show up in this situation, and then saying, okay, is that really loving and serving and supporting myself, right?
Right.
And when we're in a place of overwhelm, like we need to give ourselves the tools to get out of that place of overwhelm, whether it's just a mental place or really it's because there is more on my plate than I can physically possibly do. Those solutions are going to look different for different people. If it's more, okay, I need to change my mental headspace, or I literally need to change what my life looks like. I'm not going to reorganize this into a place that's less overwhelming because it is just too much, right? And so those tools that you talk about of stopping and calming down, that box breathing, taking a 5-minute nature walk, mindfully having a cup of hot tea, like doing those things that bring your arousal down, and then saying, okay, 1, how can I serve and support myself in this moment, in this time? And 2, what is the smallest step I can take in the direction I need to go? Not the destination way over there that's overwhelming us. What's the smallest step that I can take right now? And I loved your suggestion because you're like, okay, I'm going to give myself a time frame. I'm going to hold myself accountable, and then I'm going to think it through, which is kind of funny because it's like the other issue is overthinking. But when you're running from it, that's part of what you're running from is even thinking about it, right?
And with overthinking, the time frame also works. Like, I do want to think about this,
right?
But I'm going to say, this is what I'm allotting myself, and then
Right.
I'm going to take action.
Right. Like, I'm not going to allow myself to just ruminate on this for days and weeks. It's like, okay, I'm going to stop and calm down. Body signs of arousal. I'm going to take my mind out of this place of overwhelm, and then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever is deemed appropriate.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give myself boundaries so I don't spiral.
Awesome. I love it. Next.
Woohoo! Mine is overcoming the guilt that comes when I don't accomplish what I intended to.
Oh man, you can relate to this one.
Sometimes my body needs more time to recover, or I need to sit with my emotion, but there's always this lingering sense of guilt when I cry or take a nap instead of cleaning the kitchen or doing something productive.
This one's all you.
It's all me.
It's all you.
It's all me.
Because I don't feel
Me.
guilt.
You're like, I feel none of these things.
When I don't accomplish what I intend to, I'm like, that's okay. I'll do it tomorrow.
You're like, I did a really good job of trying.
I did.
I showed up. Way to go.
It's time for fun now. Let's do this. So yeah, this one's all you.
Okay. So I would pose a question to this question, right? I would ask you the question if the concept of earning your worth is something you relate to. Like, I need to be productive. I need to accomplish things. I need to do my tasks. I need to be successful in schoolwork or in my job or at home so that I have value, right? And if you're trying to earn your worth, then you are going to feel like, well, if I don't do X, Y, Z that needs to be done, then I am not worthy, right?
Yeah.
And that can absolutely lead to guilt. This is something we cover in our innate healing program. And so if that's something that interests you, check out our website. But one of the basic concepts that we cover in there is worth, right?
Yeah.
And that we tend to tie our worth to the things that we value. And the goal isn't then to not value things, because your unique combination of your nature and your nurture and your life experiences and the things that you value is your unique package that makes you incredibly you and cool, right? Like, I could never stand here and do what you do, right?
You're doing it now.
But I'm not, though. I'm not. I'm doing it in the form of me, right? Which brings a different perspective that is also unique and valuable, right? And it's the same for you. But when you're trying to always earn your worth, you're not actually recognizing the fact that your worth is innate, that you are born with it and you brought it with you.
Yeah.
And so many of us didn't experience the unconditional love of just being valued and appreciated for our unique goodness, right? And so we try to earn our worth, we try to earn love, we try to earn acceptance and belonging through maybe accomplishment, or through being the fun or funny guy, or through peer acceptance, or through knowing all the answers, right? And so starting on that journey of saying, my worth is innate, I have it within myself. And while it's good and important to clean your house and to go to school if that's a goal of yours, or to accomplish things at work, like, all those things are good and important, it's not where I get my worth from.
Yeah. Well said. I'm going to read the next one.
Ooh, okay.
My biggest challenge is unhealthy coping mechanisms and reaching out for help. I'm sure you have before, but maybe discuss in further detail general healthy coping mechanisms for people struggling with depression.
Okay, so here's the reality. We all struggle. Struggle is a part of being human. It's a part of this earthly experience. Like, it is a part of life, right?
Yeah.
And we often judge ourselves for struggling. And instead, we need to meet ourselves with love and compassion. And you talk about coping mechanisms, or this person that asked the question talked about coping mechanisms. We all have coping mechanisms. I joke all the time that I use food as a coping mechanism. Like, my go-to is ice cream and Amish baked goods, or just really quality baked goods, but the Amish.
But
are
we
really
live near
good.
the Amish, so yeah.
So here's the question. The question for you, and when we're in this place of evaluating how we're showing up in life, it's associated with judgment. It's a human trait. We judge ourselves, and we judge ourselves harshly. And then we internalize that judgment, and that's where things spiral.
No, I am judging myself.
And asking yourself, what are my coping mechanisms? And are they serving and supporting me? And look to yourself for that answer.
Well, and if you go back into the archives about, I wrestled with pornography. Different people have different values about pornography, but I turn to it as a Band-Aid over a bullet wound. I turned to it because I was stressed, or because I was overwhelmed, or because I didn't like myself. And what I found was that coping mechanism didn't serve me, because I never actually felt better about life afterwards. Right? I never actually felt like that did the trick and now I can approach life in a healthier mindset. I would always feel worse. And so I had to find healthy replacements, new coping mechanisms. So for me, exercise, it's interesting. The reason I have this big body that I have that's both muscle and fat is because I love to exercise and I also love to eat. So they're two competing coping mechanisms. But that's how you get a dad bod, by the way, is that combination. But both of those things help me to center. A good meal, I feel like I've reset. A good workout, I feel like I've reset. So finding what works for you, as Alicia says, does this serve me? A lot of the things we turn to, they're kind of empty distractions, and sometimes that's a good thing, but a lot of times we're just right back where we started, or even worse.
And sometimes that is the best version of ourselves, like showing up in that moment. I remember talking to a friend, and she was sharing about her sister-in-law, and she had a lot of little kids. She had some special needs, high demand kids, right? And so she would do all her parenting duties throughout the day, and it was exacerbated by the children's needs, and she would be exhausted by the end of the day, and she would veg out and watch TV at night. And she judged herself so harshly for doing that.
Because I should be doing something meaningful, something purposeful, something.
Or productive.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, there's times and seasons.
Yeah.
And that is hard. Like, you are in a hard situation. And if that is the best thing that you can do to meet your needs for being in such a hard season, awesome.
Yeah, because
Like-
I'm not saying you need to choose something that's productive or meaningful. What I'm saying
and
is,
I didn't take it as that.
I just wanted to clarify, because
Yeah.
what I hear you saying is asking the question, does this serve me?
Right.
Is it actually doing what I'm wanting it to do, or should I find something that serves me better?
Right. Well, and I really relate to that because I'm not a TV or a movie watcher, or like screens aren't my thing, right? But I relate to that too because I spent 10 years raising little kids and being a homemaker, and that is not my jam, and it is mind numbing, and it's particularly mind numbing for me because I find value in critical thinking and logic and
Yeah.
so much more than making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches while wearing multiple people's bodily fluids. That might have been TMI. But if you've been a parent, you know what it's like, right? And so there was a time in my life where that was the solution at the end of the day. Like, I am so maxed out. I'm physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted, and I have to get up and do it again tomorrow. I am absolutely watching a TV show, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's not the stage of life I'm at in anymore, and I find it more serving and productive for myself
and like
to
you
do
say,
something else.
You don't value TV shows. Some people very much do. Like I
Right.
love that escape. I love
Right.
going into somebody else's life, and I found it's an exercise in empathy. But you have to find what works for you. So this has been our very first Ask Us Anything. But if you're watching this down the timeline, there will be more videos. So go check out our playlist, which will pop up here at the end. What challenge would you like us to address for you in one of these videos? Let us know in the comments below.
And are you enjoying this series? Like, is this fun? Should we keep doing it? If so, let us know. Let us know what topics you're interested in. And
How
what,
can we do it better?
Yeah, and what questions you have.
Until next time, folks, keep shining because we need tu luz. Necesitamos tu luz. Por favor. Gracias.
Sí.
Sí.